Shut up while I'm talking.
No.
Just go through the reasoning here. We agree, right, that God can actualize any logically possible state of affairs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now it's going to follow then that the only constraint on God, right, given that he can actualize all logically possible states of affairs, are going to be necessary facts, right? Logically necessary facts, not contingent facts, right?
For God in the intent of whatever he creates in say of itself, or just in virtue of itself. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But
If that's the case,
I'm saying by the rule of so when he creates something that's contingent, that does have certain contingent rules that thing plays by. Okay. He is not bound by those contingencies, for he could just make another possible world that does not obey those contingent facts. You are correct. However, the question is then if he wants to effectuate something coherent within the framework of those contingent facts, yes, he must obey those contingent facts, because that was already a premise of his will. He says he wants these things to work this way. And so if he wants to procure a certain contingent outcome within that contingently possible world, he plays by those rules he's already intentionally established.
yeah, I'm not understanding. So you've agreed God is not bound, is only bound by necessary facts, right? Because if he was bound by contingent facts, right, that would mean that there were some contingent states of affairs he couldn't actualize, right? Sorry, some logically possible states of affairs he couldn't actualize, right? But there are no you agree there are no logically possible states of affairs that he can't actualize, right?
Yes, that's correct. But that's
okay.
Why
so we agree then that there is no logically possible state of affairs that God cannot actualize, right?
That God cannot actualize, that is correct.
Okay, great. Now, I made an analogy, right, with the administration of a vaccine, right? Now, we agree that it's logically possible to administer a vaccine, right, without causing pain to a child, right? That's logically possible, right?
Yes. Okay.
Right. So the analogy is not going to hold there, right?
I think that my analogy does hold because you're only talking about reference to logically possible systems.
Yes, I'll explain to you why the analogy doesn't hold, since you don't seem to get it.
No,
right?
I get it.
All right, well, I'll explain it to you, and you tell me where I'm going wrong, right? We agree that God can actualize any logically possible state of affairs, right? We agreed on that, right?
We already agreed on that.
Yeah, okay. Now, it's a purely contingent fact, right, that administration of a vaccine, right, causes pain. That's a purely contingent fact, right? That's not a logically necessary truth.
It's purely a contingent fact.
Right. So therefore, it's logically possible for God, right, to create a world in which vaccines can be administered without causing pain, right?
Yes,
that's logically possible, right?
That is correct.
Right. So I can't say, right, in the case of a purely contingent obstacle, right, like that the only kinds of vaccines I have access to are the ones that cause pain, that I'm justified in causing the pain for the sake of the greater good, when in fact it's logically possible for me to achieve that greater good without the pain, right? If I can actualize all logically possible states of affairs, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I mean when I say the analogy doesn't hold.
If you
right? It doesn't hold in the cases, just listen, it doesn't hold in the cases, right, where the obstacle to achieving the greater good is some contingent fact, right?
I agree.
Doesn't hold in those cases.
So then
When I said the analogy doesn't hold, right, I was correct, right?
What's the difference, Jack, since you want to be rude to me? And if I keep agreeing with you on the things that you are saying, and then I still say, yet you're not understanding my position, what are you missing, Jack?
Sorry, I'm just clarifying the point where when I said the analogy didn't hold, you contradicted me, right?
Not in virtue of logical possibility. You did not listen to me. So I can
Sorry.
try again
Sorry,
on
did I
my
explain
terms.
to you? Did I explain to you
I
why the
agree
analogy
with
does hold?
everything. I
Okay, good.
agree
So
with
then we can
everything that
retract.
you
Shut
said.
up while I'm talking. We can
No.
agree.
Do not be
We can
rude.
agree. Yeah, I'm going to be fucking rude to
No,
you,
don't be
right? Because
rude
you're
because
being
I haven't
fucking
been rude to
dishonest.
you. I'm
Yeah,
not being
yeah, you are
dishonest.
being
You're
rude by being
confused.
dishonest, right? You said that the
No.
analogy didn't hold, right? And I showed you how the analogy held, and I asked you if you now retract the claim that the analogy doesn't hold.
Jack, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try this again, okay? Because I'm not the one that's confused. I told you I was not confused. I listened to everything you said, and I said yes. And everything that I said yes to when you gave me that example corresponds to exactly what I said in the first instance. So don't be rude to me and mock me and act as if you think you've caught me in a contradiction because you're not understanding what the position is. Okay? I am saying if God wants to effectuate a contingent fact, right? That it is a contingent fact. And if he so desires to effectuate it in the contingent realm in an intelligible manner for those contingencies, right? For example, metaphysical reality, then he does so by that means. He condescends to that level. So, for example, with your vaccine thing, if God wants to administer a vaccine to an individual without sticking a needle in that, that's a logical possibility for God. Okay. But for us, that is a metaphysical impossibility. We cannot do that. It is logically possible that we could do that, but it's not metaphysically possible that we could do that. So when you're talking about something like evil, these are going to be metaphysical consistencies. That's why that is an issue of metaphysics and not logic. And you think that you've caught me in a contradiction because you didn't listen well.
When did I say you were caught in a contradiction? I merely
You
said,
told me I'm a liar.
yeah, you are a fucking liar because
Exactly.
you said,
Lies
right?
and deceits by
Yeah,
in
I don't know
virtue of
why you're over
definition
talking
is
me.
a
I
logical
don't know why you're
contradiction.
over talking me. Shut the fuck up until I'm done,
Because you
asshole.
should get
Stop
off.
fucking talking. Okay? Shut your mouth until I'm done talking, then you can speak up, asshole. I'll tell you why, right? I'll tell you why I called you a fucking liar, right?
Go on.
I said to you, right, it's not going to be the case that any contingent fact, right, can be appealed to explain why God permits some so-called evil to occur for the sake of a greater good, right? Because in point of fact, right, God is not actually bound by any contingent states of affairs, right? We agreed on that because God can actualize any logically possible state of affairs, right? Now, I gave the analogy of the vaccine, right? The point was, yeah, we can say, you know what, it's an evil to cause pain to a child, but nonetheless, that's a justified evil, right? In the cases where I cause pain to a child for the sake of administering a vaccine, right? And I was simply pointing out that that's not a case that can be analogous to God's situation because it's a purely contingent fact, right, that vaccines cause harm. It's not a logically necessary truth, right, that if there's a vaccine, it has to cause pain, right? That's a contingent truth, right? And so God, in fact, if he wanted to achieve the administration of a vaccine, right, could do so without actually causing pain, right? And so that's going to be disanalogous to God's case, right? And you contradicted me and said it wasn't disanalogous, right? It wasn't
It's not
disanalogous. But then shut
unanimous.
up until I'm done talking,
Well,
asshole.
then when you
Shut your
lie,
fucking mouth.
when
Shut up.
I muted him. Go ahead.
Shut
all
up.
right,
Go ahead.
Yeah, shut your fucking mouth, you fucking dishonest piece
He
of
left the
garbage.
room. He left the room.
All right.
I refuse to be critical of Jesse Palm. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's fine. You can bow. Shut up while I'm talking, right? I asked you a fucking yes or no question. All right, Haiti, will you fucking shut him up?